All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I'm going to be breaking down Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev, and man, am I excited. To me, this fight is such a breath of fresh air because I'm a huge fan of both guys. They're so well-rounded and dynamic, and I feel like this clash of styles is something that everyone's been hyped for a while now. And the reason I say breath of fresh air is because compared to the last few pay-per-views we've been having, like the Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira one, I was just dreading that one. Like, it's just, you're watching it like a horror film because you knew Oliveira was going to get flatlined. You're just like, ugh, you know, you're just waiting for it because it's just like, will he survive till round two? Like, I don't know. And Oliveira is such a fan favorite, so you hate to see something like that happen to him. And then same thing with the Poirier Holloway one, because obviously hindsight's 2020, but I thought Poirier would have done a lot better. Similar to their second fight, especially Holloway was coming off that knockout loss, and he's been accumulating a lot of damage over his career. So it's just like, you assume the worst, and you're just like, I don't want to see this one. Like I said, hindsight's 2020, Holloway did really well. But yeah, as far as this one goes, I'd say just on the fight alone, I haven't been this excited for a middleweight title fight since the Adesanya versus Pereira. I don't know if you want to call it a quadrilogy or the rematch, because obviously they fought twice in kickboxing and twice in MMA, but all four were kind of kickboxing fights, right? So let's be honest. But yeah, I was extremely excited for the Dricus du Plessis Adesanya one, but I felt like, me included, and a lot of people were still underestimating Dricus at that point. So I was more excited for like the fight result and like the build-up itself. Whereas this one, like I said, both fan favorites, both very dynamic, and yeah, let's just get right into it, Matt. So, starting off, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. The records are as follows. Dricus du Plessis, 23 wins, 2 losses. Khamzat Chimaev, perfect, undefeated, 14-0. So, Dricus is obviously fighting out of South Africa, and Chimaev, I'm on the UFC website, his country's blank. Like, because that's the thing. I know he was born and raised in Chechnya, and then they moved to Sweden, and then I think he's living in like Abu Dhabi or Dubai or something like that now. So I don't know why that's not there, but yeah. That being said, height, Dricus is listed at 6'1" and Chimaev is 6'2". Now, everyone and their dog has seen the video of them like facing off in like the hotel. Well, not really facing off, but first interaction together. And a lot of people are like, and I'll be honest, I was guilty of this too. I was like, holy shit, Chimaev's dwarfing him. And then you realize it's like, oh wait, it's just a camera angle. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And Dricus was saying how it's just like, people were all like, oh my God, he's so huge. It's like, it's the camera. And not only that, he was maybe like an inch. You know, Dricus was like maybe like half an inch, maybe an inch, right? So, and that's the thing too. You got to remember, sure, Chimaev might be a little taller than him, but if you look at the width, like, Dricus is so much more muscular and like muscle bound. He's so much wider. And that's the thing. Like, obviously, you know, muscles don't win fights, but it is what it is. Like, Dricus by no means is getting dwarfed by Chimaev. Maybe by an inch or so, but you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing to be concerned about. So 6'1", 6'2", like I said, or I always say, take it with a grain of salt. Once they're on flat feet without any shoes on, we'll truly see what's what. And I'm pretty sure they'll face off after the press conference tomorrow, so we'll see. Now, as far as reach goes, Dricus is 76 inches and Khamzat Chimaev is 75. So, in all honesty, there is really no like reach or height, like any major differences like that. So, it is what it is. Now, as far as the odds go, Dricus is listed as the underdog at plus 150 and Chimaev is minus 180. Now, I know everyone's writing off Dricus, like, everyone always writes off Dricus. And I always say, like, if Dricus should get a portion of the people who bet against him whenever he wins, because it's like, if he did that, he'd be like Bill Gates, like multi-billionaire, because no one has been underlooked and dismissed as much as Dricus. And that's the thing. Love or hate his style, it is effective. Because even when he said, it's like, how would you describe Dricus' fighting style? Like, someone asked him, he's like, effective. And that's the thing, it is effective. It does work. And yeah. As far as their win method, right? So TKO/KO, Dricus is at a 39% and Chimaev is at a 43%. Now, as far as submissions, Dricus is at a 48% and 43% for Chimaev. So they're kind of like neck and neck, right? As much as their styles are like very different, like I said, they are both very dynamic. They're getting TKOs, KOs, and submissions. And then, so Dricus is a 13% decision rate and Chimaev is a 14% decision rate. So very rarely do either of these guys see the decision. And that just makes for an awesome fight. Awesome fight, right? And starting off with their attributes and everything. As far as power is concerned, that's the thing. I feel like people are just kind of like being like, oh, Chimaev's such a wrestler. They forget he does have knockouts, right? And Chimaev does have a lot of power in his hands because he knocked out Gerald Meerschaert and I'm pretty sure, like, what are the other guys he fought too? I don't remember their names, but yeah, he just mopped the floor with those guys. Dricus, he has really good power. Neither one of the, like, I can't say that because he just knocked out Gerald Meerschaert, but like, as far as like one-shot knockout power for Dricus, he definitely has like power, and that's the thing. Like when he hit Adesanya clean, like you could see Adesanya's head rock back and like it wobbled him, right? So both of these guys have really good power, but as far as just pound for pound, I kind of lean towards Chimaev. I don't know, like give or take, you know what I mean? Like I'm not exactly sure, but as far as speed is concerned, I'd have to give it to Chimaev simply because I remember Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, they were talking about fighting him. He's like, he's the best shit fighter in the world. He's so slow, but he hits. And that's the thing. Dricus isn't the fastest. He isn't the strongest. He isn't whatever. But like he mixes it up the best, you know? And that's what you want out of an MMA champion. And that's part of the reason why I get so annoyed by people like writing off Dricus completely and acting like he's just going to get walked over. Because that's not what's going to happen. Now, as far as striking dynamics go and like footwork and all that, I'd have to give it to Dricus because as much as Chimaev, he does throw the occasional kick or whatever, most of his kicks and all that, a lot of it's to do with his wrestling, right? Where he'll use it to set up his takedowns. Whereas, like, that's the thing. Obviously, he does strike and he can strike for a long period of time, but I'd say Dricus is more comfortable on the stand-up in a sense. And not only that, like, Dricus throws, like, spinning back kicks. He literally goes for flying knees. And Chimaev, I don't think we'll ever see him throw like a flying knee or like something crazy like a spinning wheel kick or something like that. He's a lot more orthodox than Dricus. Now, as far as grappling, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's really a no-brainer. Chimaev is obviously, if this was just wrestling, Chimaev would win 10 out of 10 times. I believe that. And the reason I say that and I'm so confident is because, like, if you look at, and obviously MMA math isn't always accurate, but you see when they both fought Robert Whittaker, Whittaker took down Dricus. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think there's a snowman's chance in hell that Robert Whittaker could take down Chimaev. Like, not a chance. So, as far as wrestling alone, I'd have to give it to Chimaev. Now, cardio. I'm going to have to give it to Dricus. Because as much as Chimaev has been training with Sam Calvita and all that, and he's been working on his cardio a lot, we've never seen him go 5 rounds. And not only that, the Kamaru-Usman fight, a lot of people were saying that since Usman has so much championship experience, and he was kind of coming back in that fight, because obviously he was like, I think it was 10-8'd or something in the first round, not by damage, but just by like complete control by Chimaev. And I feel like the cardio often depends on Chimaev's mentality, but that being said, it looked like he was kind of slowing down, and we have seen Chimaev slow down a lot, especially against like a Gilbert Burns, primarily Kamaru Usman, and people were saying that if the Usman fight was 5 rounds, most people were saying that Usman probably would have gotten that one done. Now, that being said, yeah, I feel like Chimaev will be able to go 5 rounds, but like I said, it all depends on what's going on up here. And that brings me to the next category, mentality and composure. Now, I feel like Dricus is a very methodical, as much as it looks crazy, he's a very methodical, well thought out fighter, and he doesn't often fight with emotion, if at all, right? And we've seen Dricus mentally destroy these fighters before he gets in the octagon with them. Adesanya, for example, right? I'll fight for you guys. Fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know my fucking story. And he's just like bawling his eyes out. And then Sean Strickland, he brought up his dad. And he's like, Dricus off. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not a fucking man. You're a pussy. Like going crazier than normal for Strickland. And yeah, I feel like Dricus du Plessis, he has the ability to get under these opponents' skin very, very effectively. It's not like, oh, you're a pussy. Oh, you're fat. Like, it's like really like he'll go well below the belt. And I feel like as much as people are just like, oh, who the fuck cares? It's just a press conference. It's just for the fans kind of thing. With Dricus, it's different. I feel like Dricus is going to have to get under Chimaev's skin. I don't think he'll be able to mentally like break Chimaev, but I feel like he can really piss him off. And with this press conference, like I said, it hasn't happened yet, obviously. But if Dricus can get under his skin and really piss off Chimaev, like bring up the politics stuff, bring up a bunch of shit, especially like based on what you've seen them going back and forth on Twitter, because let's be honest, we look at this card, right? Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates, maybe he'll be like, yeah, whoever's better, like, yeah, I'm gonna knock you out. There's really gonna be nothing there. Lerone Murphy might be like, yeah, I'm here to shut up the new thay. And then Aaron Pico's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna beat you. You know what I mean? So there's not a lot of storylines on this card. So I feel like Dricus and Chimaev are kind of be like the main, the people's main event too. Because a lot of times you'll see like these fights where it's like, oh yeah, this was the people's main event. There's a story. This one has that potential. And if Chimaev can remain calm, cool, and collected, that's great. But I just feel like Dricus is going to get under his skin in this press conference. Even though they were really respectful, I feel like Dricus is going to have something up his sleeve. And that being said, like I said, for composure and mentality, I'll have to give it to Dricus. I don't trust Chimaev in the sense of like, if Dricus really pisses him off, I feel like Chimaev's just going to go at him, right? From pillar to post. And that's the thing too. Chimaev said that, for example, when he was fighting Whitaker, he says that the second he kind of feels like they're not on my level, I'm going to sprint and I'm going to go at him, right? And I'm just going to go finish him because, I don't have to wait. So that's the thing. Like, he felt that obviously with Kevin Holland, and he felt that obviously with Whitaker. He just mopped the floor with both guys. Whereas Usman and Gilbert Burns were able to weather the storm and build themselves back into that fight. Now, the big question is, can Dricus weather the storm? Now, obviously this entire video is for nothing if Chimaev just goes in there and, like, mops the floor with him round one and then gets a submission, right? This is all for nothing. And that's the beauty of speculation. That's the thing. If you hate Dricus with if you hate Chimaev with every fiber in your being and you love Dricus like he's your best friend, like brother, whatever, everyone has to admit that chances are Chimaev will win round one. Now, whether it'll be a sprint or just more of like a wrestling kind of base because they're going to be dry, I have to give round one basically automatically to Chimaev. For better or for worse. Now, if Chimaev goes in there and, like I said, submits him, it is what it is, right? But if Chimaev's going in there like pissed off because Dricus brought up Lord knows what, he's going to go in there, and if Dricus survives and gets to the later rounds and starts putting on a pace against Chimaev, I feel like Dricus, he's like, oh yeah, I'll fight him where he fights, and like if he wants to wrestle, we'll wrestle. Like I'll wrestle back at him. I feel like it'd be a stupid decision for Dricus to offensively wrestle against Khamzat because that's Chimaev's base, right? Mostly when a striker's wrestling, they get like really tired right away. Whereas if you're a natural grappler, for the most part, obviously everyone's different, but it drains less stamina. Now, that being said, well, they're dry. Wouldn't Dricus have a better chance? Yes, but at the same time, I wouldn't even entertain it. To me, it would be a complete waste of cardio. So for round one, just head-to-head, Dricus has to... There's no question Dricus isn't going to get taken down. I know he was doing like the whole 10K bets and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does he really have in South Africa that can compare to a Khamzat Chimaev? You know what I'm saying? He did say he was importing wrestlers and all that, which is really good. But, that being said, he's going to have to weather the storm. Now, let's say Dricus does weather the storm and makes it into round two. This is where it's going to get interesting because, like I said, Dricus has dynamic striking. He has power in his hands, but so does Chimaev, right? So let's say, for example, Dricus gets past round one and he starts doing well. He starts landing body kicks because that's the thing. I feel like Dricus shouldn't really headhunt early on. I feel like Dricus should definitely go to the body. Like anytime they're going to, they're in the clinch or anything, go for those knees, go for those punch to the body, go for those long kicks to the body like he does, especially spinning back kicks. Because that's the thing. If we're going to beat Chimaev, you have to take away his cardio because his cardio is the most questionable aspect of himself. Everyone knows he's not the best on the feet, but he has power and he knows what he's doing. Wrestling, no-brainer. He's the best in the division. The way to beat Chimaev is to take away his cardio and to take him into these deep waters. And I feel like Dricus can do that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, like I said, Dricus survives the storm in round 1. Complete onslaught of wrestling because I feel like I said, Chimaev's going to feel like, oh, I can get Dricus down and I'm just going to go with it. Now, there is another way that I see this fight happening because if you remember, Khabib was like, I think Chimaev should box. And I agree. I feel like for Chimaev, he might have a deceptive game plan in this fight. Whereas he has the ultimate advantage of the unknown. Dricus doesn't know how hard it is to wrestle Chimaev. He's never wrestled someone with this caliber. So if I'm Chimaev, I keep him guessing for a majority of round 1. I don't think you should sprint at him at all. I think Chimaev, what he should do is kind of stay in like kickboxing, boxing range and just, try yourself out on the feet here. See what you can land. And then I think he should do kind of like a half-assed takedown where it makes it look like he's really trying and then Dricus stops it and then Dricus gets all the confidence in the world. He's like, oh my God, I can block Chimaev's takedowns. Like, I can just stand the whole time. And then so Chimaev kind of lures him in and then Dricus starts getting really confident. And then in rounds 2 or 3, that's when you do like the kind of like clothesline, like Superman speed, like boom, like go instantly like 100% takedown. Surprise Dricus. Get him in, it's like, oh shit. Get him panicking. Because I feel like Dricus is definitely anticipating wrestling. So if you can kind of like mess with his mind a bit and kind of think like, oh yeah, like I got this. Like holy shit, like I'm much better than I thought I was. Or is Chimaev not as good as I thought he would? Let him, what's the word for this? Like get him off his guard, you know what I mean? Like get him really confident. And then, like I said, rounds 2, you play with him a bit more and then boom, takedown, and that's when you do your work. I feel like Chimaev, and that's the thing too, Chimaev has such a more mature approach to his fights lately. And I feel like he's saying like he has all this stuff going on and behind the scenes he wants to be a good example. So if Chimaev doesn't get affected by his pre-fight antics and all that, I really think Chimaev will have a lot more success than people think as far as like the Dricus diehard supporters. Now, as far as Chimaev goes, like I said, that's how I think he should play. Either he can go in there and sprint, and let's say he gets him down and submits him, great. Either that or a methodical approach and like a deceptive game plan, kind of go in there boxing a bit. And as far as Dricus, like I said, you have to weather the storm, go for the body, and then later on, as the rounds go on, especially like, I like Dricus to go for some calf kicks as well, because that's the thing. I do say body kicks, but Khamzat can catch them and then go for the takedown, so they are risky. And that's the thing. Kicking any kind of wrestler, it will be dangerous, but I feel like Dricus will commit because he's not afraid. So, like I said, body shots, not only that, I like to see calf kicks from Dricus. I'd like to see calf kicks take away the power from Chimaev to be able to shoot these takedowns. Because that's the thing. A lot of these wrestle-heavy styles, I've noticed they're really susceptible to leg kicks. I don't know why that is. Maybe because wrestlers have to be planted a lot like harder on the ground. So they're used to using their base more and they're a lot more rooted. Whereas like a striker, like a lot of times like these guys will like have their leg lifting up and like darting around like a sharp bloater, for example, right? Whereas Chimaev's a lot more flat-footed in his fights. So if Dricus can start, like I said, body shots, chew up his calf, and like I said, I don't think he should really headhunt until like rounds 2, 3. Obviously, if it's there, it's there. But I feel like, yeah, he should definitely kind of chill out in that sense. Because not only that, Chimaev, like I said, he has good power. So I don't think he was going to want to really box with him. So that being said, it all depends on where Chimaev's at mentally. Now, if we look at their past fights and just their strength of schedule. So Dricus recently fought Strickland in their rematch, which no one asked for, and Strickland performed like dog shit. So that really has nothing to go off of, right? Because Strickland, as much as, yeah, I grapple and I train wrestling every day. Hey, you're losing 4 rounds to nothing. Let's shoot a takedown. No, I'm just going to do the same thing. So, you know what I mean? Like, you can't take anything away from that. As far as Adesanya goes, I recently watched that one. Adesanya was hitting him a lot. But that being said, Dricus, like I said, he has so much composure in there. He was calm. He went for the takedowns when he had to. But that being said, Adesanya, he does have semi-decent takedown defense, but he's not a well-rounded fighter. So to compare any of these opponents to Khamzat Chimaev, it would kind of be stupid because there's such different styles. Whereas, and that's the thing with a lot of these two, Dricus had the grappling in his back pocket for the Strickland and the Adesanya one. Because it's like, okay, if my striking's not doing well, I can wrestle. Whereas he's not going to have that with Chimaev. And then he fought Strickland for the first time, won the belt. And then before that, he fought Whitaker, I believe. And Whitaker, as much as he is well-rounded and all that, and he did land a takedown, Whitaker's not where he needs to be anymore. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? So take that for what it is. Now, as far as Chimaev goes, recently just, like I said, ran over Whitaker, round 1. And then before that, got in a very competitive fight with Kamaru Usman. And that, like I said, a lot of people thought that he might have lost that if it went to the 4th or 5th. So, you know, it is what it is. And then before that, Kevin Holland, but that was like a whole mix-up because he was supposed to fight Diaz and then they got switched up. And then before that, I'm pretty sure it was the Gilbert Burns fight. So as far as strength of schedule goes, obviously I'd have to give it to Dricus because common opponent is Robert Whitaker. And then there's the Kamaru Usman, which you could compare that to like an Adesanya in a sense. Like obviously they're not as dynamic, but long reigning champion, right? So, and then you throw Strickland in there. Strickland compared to Kevin Holland or like a Gilbert Burns, Strickland's a lot better, obviously. So strength of schedule, I have to go to Dricus. And yeah, as far as my official prediction, I was so confident going into the, well, not so confident, but I was like, yeah, I'll be a contrarian. And like, I think Dricus is going to win because there's a lot of people rooting for Dricus and think he's going to win. And he definitely, like I said, he has a way to win if he survives that first round. But that being said, for some reason, today, the day I'm making this video, there's something in the air, man. And if Dricus beats Chimaev, I will never, not pick him again. I don't think anyone will underestimate him ever again. But I hate to say it, this is the last time I think I'm going to bet against Dricus. I think Chimaev will win. I think, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's even getting me now. That's what I'm saying. I'm so hyped because I love both guys. They're so great. But if I had to bet my house or whatever, I'd have to go with Chimaev. There's something about him. He still has that boogeyman effect. He has that, he has the wrestling. He has the power on the feet. I think he's going to have a mature approach. I feel like he's at a different place in his life where he won't get affected as much by the trash talk. I feel like he's going to stick to his game plan. Either swarm him and sub him in round 1, or I think he's going to, I don't know. Fuck, if it goes to decision, I can see Dricus winning. Fuck. It's so hard, man. Fuck. Okay, if I had to choose, I'm going to go with Chimaev. Now, method. If Chimaev's going to win, it's going to be submission. I'm going to say that. If Dricus is going to win, it's either a TKO or a decision. I'm going to have to go with Chimaev. I don't want to say round 1, but every time I say I don't say round 1, it happens in Fuck! Chimaev round 2. This submission. Fuck it. I have to make a decision. But yeah. No, I had really fun with this. And like I said, I'm just going to enjoy all these fights. It's going to be a great night of fights. And I can't wait to see the press conference. I'll make a video reacting to the press conference after it happens. And obviously that might change my pick or whatever. But as of right now, if a calm, cool, collected Chimaev shows up, I feel like he's going to get this one done. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for the love and support you guys show me. Honestly, to the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it so much. This is just a passion project for me, and I want to take this to the fucking moon. So, yeah. Thank you guys. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and peace.